Somewhere past the edge of convention, beyond the boundaries of tomorrow, lies a special kind of impossible. A kind of impossible where pioneers forge ahead. Where no idea is too bold and no challenge too great. Because making a 200-ton airplane disappear is impossible until it's not. Predicting cyber attacks before they happen is impossible until it's not. And solving the mysteries of the universe is impossible until it's not. It's our job to break free from what is to what could be. Ready to leave the boundaries of what's known, to define possible.
Yay! Thanks, Jody. So good morning. Gosh, where did all these people come from? I was talking to Jim last night late and asked him again this morning. Last night we were still getting registrations around midnight. And we're up to about 65 or so registrations, which is really good, really great. So we're really happy about that. We're glad to be back here again this year. You know, last year was the year returning after pandemic. So things were a little unsure, a little shaky. This year, we've got an amazing program. The program has been really shifting because we've been having people become available around their duties, and we've been able to add folks to some sessions. So it's our program this year is really dense. It's very, very heavy, very information heavy, and a lot of density to it, and we hope you enjoy it. So now Jim says I have to go by the script to stay on time. So welcome to the 15th annual Wernher von Braun Memorial Symposium. Our theme is Space at the Table, Collaboration, Cooperation, and Inclusion. I'm the MC, insert MC info. That means I'm Alan DeLuna, I'm president of AAS. And we thank you all for coming out and joining us. We're excited because of the lineup of the industry professionals and the discussions we're going to have this week. We hope you enjoy the latest updates on what's happening in the space field. I really encourage you to come to tomorrow's sessions on Artemis. They're going to be extremely beneficial, extremely useful, and we're going to learn a lot there. I'd like to thank our sponsors. They are the Aerospace Corporation, Blue Origin, the Boeing Company, Dynetics, Jacobs, Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory, Lockheed Martin, Maxar, Northrop Grumman, SAIC, SpaceX, Teledyne Brown Engineering, and the University of Alabama in Huntsville. And our media sponsor is Space News. And so we thank all of you for your support on the Von Braun Symposium. And these sponsors give us the ability to go off and put together the program rather independent of early registrations. If we had to wait until we had registrations to cover the cost of the conference, then we wouldn't be putting things together as early as we did. But getting all these sponsors in the way that we did, sponsors, thank you so much, because you give us the flexibility to be able to work on our program early and put things together early and bring it to this group. We want to thank our collaborators for this event. That's the NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, MSFC, and thank you, Jody, for all your support. The National Space Club of Huntsville and UAH. Now we do have a big planning committee. This is it. These folks met weekly for a couple of months, putting together different options for the program, and we went through many iterations and to come up with what we have today. So planning committee, thank you so much for doing that. And we are very happy that you have supported us so well. So I have to take this opportunity to, Chris Crumley, where are you? I know he's in here. He promised me a pirate joke. Arr, Chris. Well, he's not. He bugged out. So now we've got some keynote speakers that are going to talk to us. We've got Chuck Narr. Charles is the new president of UAH, University of Alabama, Huntsville. And I made a few notes if I can read them. He didn't come from a lofty tower of academia. He came from a hole in the ground. It's really true. Came from Holy Ground. His first 7 years was working for the U.S. Bureau of Mines. So he had some on the ground or in the ground experience. He does have the best engineering degree in his undergraduate degree, and that's a BS mechanical engineering. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's what I have. He did grow up in the University of Alabama system, and it's kind of unusual to see folks stay in those one system for as many steps as he's done. So that's really super, and it shows that he understands the system and understands what it's doing. Now, yesterday, I was doing some walking around, did a little bit of walkabout. And a boss of mine in Lockheed used to talk to me and tell me, you can't manage folks unless you walk around where they work and understand what they do. So we were walking around doing some things with some of our collaborators here. And I asked, how is the new president doing? And the answer was, well, he just got here, but he seems to really care for the students. And that was the highlight of what he said. He said he seems to really care for the students. And Chuck, come and talk to us, please.
Well, I really appreciate that, Alan. You know, I spent 42 years down in Tuscaloosa and I retired. And I got 2 good days of retirement in, and I was asked to come up here, and people tell me, oh, your wife can only stand you for 2 days. And I go, well, actually 1. It took me another day to find a job. How about that, right? So good morning on behalf of the University of Alabama Huntsville faculty and students and the Board of Trustees of the University of Alabama system. I want to welcome each of the attendees to this 15th annual Von Braun Symposium. It's really great to see you here today. You know, we look forward so much every year to hosting this event. And we're really honored to be able to continue to do so. I would also like to thank our partners in this event, the American Astronautical Society, NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, the National Space Club of Huntsville. Certainly without you folks, this event just would not be possible, and we would not be here today. I'd also like to thank the many outstanding symposium sponsors who make this event possible, make our gathering here possible. As you know, this year's theme is Space at the Table, Collaboration, Cooperation, and Inclusion. We take great pride at UAH in being able to come together in this way. We're so thankful for this opportunity to learn from one another. So again, thank you for being here. You know, UAH has such a unique connection to this symposium. The founding of our university is a testament to the vision, efforts, and leadership of Dr. Wernher von Braun, the first director of Marshall Space Flight Center, who strongly advocated to the Alabama State Legislature that a research institution be built in our campus. In a presentation to the Alabama Legislature that really launched our university, Dr. von Braun said, "It's the university climate that brings the business. It's not water or real estate or labor or cheap taxes that bring industry to a state or city. It's brain power." And I can tell you that at UAH, we work hard every single day to take these words to heart. Today, more than 60 years later, after Dr. von Braun appeared before our state legislature in support of UAH, we've grown to become a preeminent research university located only 1 mile from Marshall Space Flight Center and Redstone Arsenal. UAH has achieved Carnegie R1 research classification, the highest research designation among institutions of higher learning. Our university ranks 12th in NASA-funded research expenditures and has 6 programs ranked in the top 25 for federally financed research expenditures as well. UAH faculty, research staff, students have partnered with NASA on numerous vital and high-profile missions. Through these partnerships and many others, UAH has provided Marshall with the one thing that's most valuable to it, and that's its future workforce. And we continue to do that every day here at UAH. We're so very, very proud to have each of you leaders in space here on campus today, from those who will be on stage in dynamic sessions to each of you who are participating, whether you're here in the audience or via Zoom. Our connection to NASA, Redstone, and our community continues to be strong as ever. We remain firmly committed to NASA and its partners here in Huntsville and beyond. But we always have to be looking forward. As we celebrate our achievements today, it's important to remember we're all here with a single inclusive goal, and that's to shape the future of the exploration of space together. We look forward to living this year's theme to craft a future we envision while being responsive to the needs of all. While you're here on our campus, I know you have a really jam-packed schedule, but we welcome you to tour our facilities, and I hope that you have the chance to talk to some of the special students, leaders, and thinkers you will find in your midst. I think I saw some of our students here earlier. Any of our students here, you raise your hand? Boy, there's some people flunking class today, huh? Yeah, extra credit. That when we launch Artemis, you remember some of those people survived on extra credit. Okay. So actually, these bright young people that you see here at this university, let me tell you something. They're just truly amazing. They represent the next generation workforce this community and our nation deserve. So I really do hope you have an opportunity to visit with them. You'll find out very, very quickly that they're extremely bright, but they're just great young people. And that's really important to us at this university, where 75% of our graduates stay in the North Alabama region. So they're going to be our neighbors. You know, we wish you all a successful and rewarding symposium. We look forward to welcoming you back to our campus next year. It's now my pleasure. I get to introduce Jody Singer. Jody took the reins of Marshall in 2018 as the first female Marshall Center director and is managing one of NASA's largest field installations. With more than 35 years experience with NASA, Jody is leading Marshall in a new area of human spaceflight and exploration with the upcoming launch of and test flight of the Space Launch System, quite simply the most powerful rocket in the world. Jody's a strong advocate of technological development and holding diverse partnerships that advance our nation's leadership in space exploration. But if you'll allow me just a minute, I want to thank Jody. I want to thank you personally for your efforts in our community, for your efforts to promote women in technical fields, for your leadership at Marshall, and for allowing us to partner with you where we have the opportunity at UAH. Jody Singer has a tremendous impact on this community each and every day, and we're blessed to have her. So would you please welcome Jody Singer?
And by the way, I resemble that remark. I kind of got through school on some extra points. So, you know, it never hurts. It gives an incentive. So again, I just really want to say welcome to the Von Braun Symposium. And thank you, Jim and Alan from the AAS, American Association Astronautical Society, and to UAH for hosting us. You know, a special thanks to Chuck for my wonderful introduction, and thank you so much for the support that you and Frida give us nonstop. Y'all are true advocates. And again, thank you so much for our sponsors and partners in doing this. Again, we could not do it without you. And this community continues to thrive and be a strong sponsor. Big thanks, Mike, to the chamber last night. There was a wonderful, we were going to have an event at Ditto Landing, but the weather didn't agree. But we did have a wonderful event. And again, it was an appreciation of the federal workers and our community. And so really appreciate that. That just shows the support this community gives. And a special shout out again to our students. Chuck stole my thunder. I was going to say, okay, we have UAH students here. Do we have any students from other universities? Raise your hand if you're here. UAH, you can raise your hand too, okay? All right. Well, I just want to tell y'all that this is a symposium that many of us are talking about what we do for the future and how we fit in the community. But it's up to you to also take advantage of this activity. And I really personally want your feedback because as Chuck said, you are definitely the future of this community. What you do, what you bring, your enthusiasm, your innovation. And hopefully this symposium helps you see what the future brings. It helps you understand the skills you're going to have, how we want to engage you, and how we want you as part of what we do, whether you work for Marshall Space Flight Center, NASA, or industry partners. It's just, you know, you are the seed corn of what we need to do going forward. Also, I'd just like to take this opportunity to really congratulate Chuck on being the new president of UAH. He obviously, even though he was retired for 2 days, did a darn good job as the interim president. So, you know, you obviously did so well. yay, gotta hang on to you for a while. And he really is a great partner. We wouldn't accomplish our mission without strategic and strong partners like UAH and our industry partners. And I look forward to continuing to strengthen that partnership. And again, that's why this year we chose Space at the Table. It's called everyone having space at the table. When you think of the different ways that we're doing business, how we're changing our world, how that there's different acquisition strategies of how we're executing space, and all the partners that we have in trying to execute where we're going. And it does require collaboration, cooperation, and inclusion. Everyone does it differently, but we do find the ways to be able to find that connectivity and that synergistic approach. The biggest thing that's built on that is relationships. And to me, our strong relationships are what keep us going strong. And again, we couldn't accomplish anything without you, our partners, and our academic partners. And I'm glad to see many of you are in this room. And again, I'm so proud of UAH and the institution that we have today. We partner a lot on science and engineering, and it just continues to grow. And I see the opportunities for this community and for jobs and for your careers to students to continue to grow. Today and the next couple of days, you're going to hear some of the brightest folks from NASA, industry partners, and this community that'll be talking about their visions and how we see that we're going forward. You'll get to hear about things from NASA and the industry on the Space Launch System, the most powerful rocket ever built that will take us to the moon and around in one launch, and how that critically makes a difference and is a foundation for where we're going. It really makes a difference. Also you'll hear about space nuclear propulsion. You'll hear about science, exploration, and more. And, we view this conference as an opportunity to grow and to strengthen and build relationships. We see it as an opportunity to come up with different ideas, promote research, development, STEM, and the activities, and increase our awareness of how we together can push forward in NASA's exploration and science goals. Also, I hope you will see the change that Marshall is going through and how we are seeing how our part plays a significant part in not only executing our missions today, but where we'll be going in the future. See if I can make this work. So this is our new building, 4221 that was there. And as y'all see, this was some of our structural testing that we did on the Artemis structural text articles to make sure we were ready for launch. So it's a critical part of our skills and our expertise of where we're going. And at the center of that is our people. The next chart, if you don't understand that, we are going. That is that beautiful rocket that is about to roll. This was when it was at the launch pad. And I even have a picture of me shamelessly of being in front of that, but I decided not to ruin the picture with my picture. But we definitely are going. We are going. And again, this is a beautiful rocket, unmatched capability. We're rolling, hopefully, unless John Honeycutt tells me something different or we hear something different. We're rolling to the pad again on November 4th. And we'll be going this is all at Kennedy Space Center. And we'll be preparing for a launch of the Artemis 1 mission somewhere around November 14th. That's the designated date right there. So this will be a night launch, and I'm looking so forward to it because I was going to say, if you've never seen a night launch, it literally lights up the skies, and it's amazing. And again, this community, everything y'all do has been a key part of the support and encouragement. And as we've learned, cheating gravity is hard, and getting all the steps right to be able to safely launch this vehicle and do a test flight, because the next flight will have humans on it. And we've got to make sure that we do it right. We haven't done this in over 50 years where we take persons back to the moon and take us around the moon. So we're definitely learning from our lessons from the past. We're learning from our commercial partners on ways to be more innovative and going forward. But I will tell you, I am so incredibly proud of our team for everything we've done to get there. And I know there's a panel, so I won't steal the thunder of an Artemis panel that'll be happening. So stay tuned for that. And again, while we're still laser focused, We've got to launch Artemis. We've got to have the vehicle going because it's the enabling steps that goes from there to launching humans and then leading us to the beginning, which will be going to the moon. I know many of y'all have seen this chart, and I'm not going to talk every piece part of it, but as far as the campaign, we're in the Artemis campaign. You can see the complexity of the missions, how that there's multiple partners and multiple needs from industry, academia, and all of us and international partners, as well as other government agencies that are making this happen. From the first Artemis launch to the second, to where we get Gateway launched, and also where we have the going back to the moon. You know, that's going to be critical. And I'm so proud that Marshall Space Flight Center, I can see our people, our work, our skills, all over that, all over the time, whether it's in space or it's on the surface or it's going to the moon and beyond. And I'm very proud of our teams and partnerships, not only on the Space Launch System, but also our partnerships on the Human Landing System. You know, that's a key partnership too. We have to have it all to be able to not only launch and get our crew on the Orion to meet up with the Human Landing System and to be able to do our demonstration missions. And then it's going to be critical that we have sustained services. But to do that, you have to have sustained environment, the ability to live and work in space. And so you kind of see the story. You have a little bit of a building block and it keeps building. And to me, that is just what is so fantastic. So when you look at this, think of all the technologies, think of all the gaps, think of all the things that we have to do to be able to enable this, and think about what would be your part in that. There's going to be more and more to come as we talk about the collaboration and the seat at the table, and you're going to hear from that. So giving you a quick snapshot, you'll get to hear, as I talked about, some of our brightest. You'll get to hear from Lisa Watson-Morgan, the program manager of the Human Landing System, and she'll have panels that'll be talking about risk reduction on the lunar surface and our lander systems and how we're building that strategy and that architect to be able to not only do the demonstrations, have humans, and to build on that foundation as we go forward. You'll also get to hear from Ginger Flores about our latest Marshall habitation system development and how we're supporting NASA, making a difference in developing lunar sustainability, our lunar presence, and how that pays forward as we go from the moon to Mars. You'll also get to hear from Dana Easy. She's in our Science and Technology office, and she'll be talking about discussions about reducing the transit time. I don't know about you, but if I were going to Mars, I'd like to get there as fast and safe as I could, and that I'd like to have the opportunity to return within my lifetime. Now, there may be some people you want to send that without that, but you know, there might be some experimental things we want to do, but seriously, you know, being able to get there, we've got to be innovative in our space propulsion technology, new in-space technology, how we go fast, how we're agile, and how we move, you know, and then also you'll get to hear from my deputy, Joseph Pelfrey. He'll be talking about the future of Artemis, which I know will be a topic of this chart that kind of talks about not only NASA's plan, but how Marshall Space Flight Center sees our future, and talking to some of our senior leaders from NASA about that. We're also blessed to have Dr. Z here, and he'll be talking about science. I know there's been a lot of things going on in science, of which is exciting, and I'm proud to say that Marshall Space Flight Center has had fingerprints in making the success of all of that, from the IXP launch that we talked about last year to many of y'all hopefully have heard about DART, and also the James Webb Telescope. And also, I'll do a plug for myself. Immediately following this, Lieutenant General Shaw and I from the U.S. Space Command will be talking about collaborations and partnerships and synergies that we see. And again, the theme continues to be collaboration, cooperation, and inclusion. And that's the heart of NASA and what we do in this community. You know, we also, one of the things is promoting inclusion is very important to us, and unity. You know, there's things that we're doing that I know each and every one of you do, and us partnering with UAH as well as many people in this community. You know, from the things that we're looking at, a diverse and inclusive, it's important that not only we retain and hire the best and brightest, but also that we retain those folks and making sure they feel included. A way that we do that is in participation in things like events like Hispanic Heritage, disability awareness. We do things also to make sure that we promote HBCUs, minority serving institutions, making sure that we keep a diverse workforce, a skilled workforce that's ready to take on the challenges. And to me, that is where we go. When we go all the way back to the days of von Braun, we know that he didn't do it by himself. We know that as the Saturn V was built and flew and helped Apollo achieve its achievements, it was a team that made it happen. And that team paid it forward. And Chuck talked about that, how in Huntsville, how that theme was played forward and how we're taking advantage of that today. Today, we have scientists and engineers that are also dedicated to paying it forward. So it is fun as we're going forward to celebrate the namesake of von Braun, the foundation on which we stand and what we see. And we're also learning from it. We're also learning from our environment, how to be more inclusive, involving, and there's things that we talk about from von Braun prior to his immigration that can be a challenging part of history. But I will tell you, when we listen to what we're doing today, the history of von Braun post-immigration to here helps us recognize that that was a team that had vision, not only vision of exploration, but how we would do engineering marvels. A lot of the physics, a lot of the thoughts are still here today. A lot of his work and his team's work in civil rights, the focus on importance of education and the visions for this country's human space exploration. When I look at his legacy, there's multiple ways that it can be characterized, but I think what we were focused on is the influence that the team and where we're going today and how it's our duty to leave it better than we found it and to pay it forward. And in Huntsville, the Rocket City, this is a team and this is a city that has helped in many of our heritage, and we have been an evolving team. Huntsville has reinvented itself multiple times, and this very soil on which we are here is a town and a country and a city and a center that has evolved. Like the city in which it stands, Marshall continues to reinvent itself. And you could even see that. I have fun with this slide. You see one side of this slide that you see everybody seemed to like to dress alike and have little black ties. And, that was a team that accomplished a lot. When you look on the right-hand side, you see definitely a difference that I don't have to point out to you. You see a diverse team. You see all the competencies. You see a great workforce what it's take to get things done. And so to me, we're planting the seeds of the future, and we're now seeing them grow. And I want to plant more seeds and make sure that we're continuing to evolve. So with Marshall's work, we continue to lead and have been assigned leads in space habitation, planetary landers, cutting edge technology. Marshall is a 21st century space transportation center. We're proud of our heritage, but it has an expertise in design, development, testing, and operations, and I'm very proud of that. That is a niche which many of our partners call upon. But we know we can be more than a rocket city. We know we also have a heritage in large science exploration, and exploration and research, payload ops, and enabling people to live and work in space and the technology that it takes to get there. And so it's real critical that we continue to evolve. And I know I'm way over time, and Alan and Jim are going to get me, but I just couldn't help but talk a little bit. So I was going to let them try to get the hook and get me off stage. But thanks for letting me be a part of this event. And thanks for indulging me and let me talk about why I am so proud of Marshall Space Flight Center, why I'm so proud of this community, and how I see we have a very bright future, a shared direction with industry and government and academia. We're looking forward to the moon and our eyes onto Mars. We're being supported very bipartisanly by Congress and this administration. And I'm proud that NASA continues to be voted as one of the best places, the #1 place to work in the federal government for 10 years in a row. That's a huge accomplishment. You could say 1 year is a fluke, but I don't think 10 years is a fluke. And I'm very proud too that Marshall Space Flight Center within the federal government and in Alabama was voted recently by Forbes as one of the best places to work when looked at over 100 companies across the state. And so thank you for being here with me. And also I'll do a shout out for Huntsville. Huntsville has also been voted the #1 ranked place to live and work in America. So, you can't beat that. Having great opportunities, there's no reason that and I was gonna say there's ultimate reasons, as Chuck said, why people want to live in this community and stay in this community and continue to be a contributor in this community. So I thank you very much. My last parting words are, go Artemis. Thank you.
It's really amazing the amount of things that Marshall is engaged in now. Everything from landers to launchers to habitations, which we would never have thought of, 10 or 15 years ago. And that's amazing. Now I do, I want to get pictures. It said a little memory in the back of my mind, Jody. About 30 years ago, there was a Lethal Weapon movie filmed in Orlando where the opening scene, or one of the opening scenes, showed Danny Glover and who was the star? Mel Gibson running away from the Orlando City Hall as it was imploded. It blew up. So when you implode 4200, are you going to film you and Senator Nelson running away from the building as it implodes? Might be something good for the future. Anyway, back to my script. Thank Jody. Okay, thank Jody. Now, before we dive into the sessions, we want to talk a little bit about one of our pillars, and that's the inclusion pillar. And that goes for you, the audience. We want to include the audience in everything that we do today. So we're going to have time at the end of every presentation for questions and answers. We hope you have good questions because we know that the participants have good answers for you. So when we do this, we want to have you raise your hand, and either Jim or I will come over and bring a microphone to you and let you take your one sentence question. If you get to 2 sentences, you're making a speech, and we'll go away to somebody else. Make your question to the speaker, and then also those of you that are online, you'll be able to ask questions through the Q&A session in Zoom. We'll have somebody monitoring that, and when we get questions from that, we'll bring it to the folks. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to introduce my co-MC, Jim Way. Jim is the executive director of the AAS, and Jim is responsible for putting all this stuff together that you see today. Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning, everybody. So glad to have you all here. So we don't keep running. So we try to get back on time a little bit. Social media. So please don't hesitate to jump in on social media and talk about this. #VonBraun 2022. And there are all our handles on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, LinkedIn.